Okay, so here's an alternative method to being able to solve this. One of the things that we want to do is we want to get something, we want to take the integer, okay, whatever your integer is. In this case, my integer is 8, and we want to split it into a perfect square multiplied by a factor, okay? And in my case, 8 is, the perfect square is 4, and the factor is 2, okay? So I need to do that. Additionally, I need to take the variable and I need to split it into something that has an even exponent multiplied by the same variable that has an odd exponent. Okay, so what I mean by that is this: I need u to the 21st power is actually u to the 20th times u to the 1st. Okay, so notice I've taken my integer, broken it into a perfect square times a factor, and I've taken the variable and I've put it to an even exponent times an odd exponent. Okay, the variable in this case is u. Your variable may be x, y, z, q, elemental p, doesn't matter. It's whatever variable it is. Okay, so that does not matter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these two, this and this, and apply it into this. Alright, so here we go. This is going to be 4 times 2 times u to the 20th times u to the 1st. All of it is square rooted. Now remember the rule. Square root of a times b is equal to the square root of a times the square root of b. That's the property that we're using, or the rule as I call it. But remember, that rule extends. I could have a times b times c times d, and it's still the square root of a times the square root of b times the square root of c times the square root of d. Okay? So it doesn't matter how many terms are sitting underneath that square root, you just apply the square root to each individual term. So what we are going to do is we're going to go square root of 4 times the square root of 2 times the square root of u to the 20th times the square root of u. Well, I can see that square root of 2 and square root of u, I can't square root those. They're pretty much done. So I'm going to combine those into the square root of 2 times u. Alright, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. Next, I'm looking at the square root of 4. Well, I know the square root of 4 is simply 2, and square root of u to the 20th is just going to be u to the 10th. Now look for the pattern here. The reason that it's u to the 10th is simply because this started off as 20, and the square root will divide the exponent in half to make it 10. So if you had u to the 30th, this would be u to the 15th. If you had u to the 40th, you would have u to the 20th. Okay, so it really doesn't matter as long as this is an even exponent, because when you take the square root, what you're really doing is just dividing that in half. Now the reason for that is because you have x, the square root of x is really x to the 1/2. Okay, so a square root is simply a 1/2 exponent. So with that, this is what you have as a result: 2u to the 10th times the square root of 2 times u. And that is your answer.